Well, g'day folks. Let me begin by thanking you for your support for BCA, as well as the Indigenous program that BCA run. It's great to be able to come to you via this medium, and we look forward to continuing our partnership in the gospel. No doubt everyone would have heard by now about Ash Barty's win, and it's not surprising for many of our Indigenous people around the country. Ash Barty is one of many Indigenous people that has done well in terms of where a passion lies. Yvonne Gulligon Corley is another one. By the way, Yvonne is a relative of mine. My grandmother was a Gulligon, and so we are related. And there are plenty of other Aboriginal sports people that have done well. We think of all the rugby league players, all the AFL players. We think of Paddy Mills in basketball. Nathan Jawa is another Torres Strait Islander that's been over to America to play in the NBA. But our people are excelling at everything that they put their minds to. Even in the area of academia, we've got more doctors and lawyers today than we had even 10 years ago, and so we're excited to see that take place. The other thing is that for our young kids growing up, they see these guys achieving, and they know that they too can achieve if they just put their minds to it. I've always said that if Aboriginal people are afforded the opportunity to do well in whatever areas they choose, they can make it, and no doubt that's been the case. We've got these guys that are going to the Olympics, and so just get excited that things have changed for our mob. In terms of, we just celebrated Reconciliation Week and NAIDOC Week, well, Reconciliation at the beginning of June, NAIDOC Week at the end of June going into July, and people are asking questions around reconciliation. And friends, can I encourage you by saying that there are two types of reconciliation. There is what I call secular reconciliation and biblical reconciliation. We are called to a reconciliation that is biblical. Paul, in writing to the church in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, talks about that we are Christ's ambassadors, and that it was God that started the reconciliation process, that God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. And so secular reconciliation says, if you do something for me and I do something for you, we can have a relationship. Biblical reconciliation says it doesn't matter what you do for me or what I do for you. It's what Christ has done for both of us that brings about our oneness. And so it's a positional truth. And so in Christ, there is equality, there is equity, and we give thanks to God for that. And that's in regards to salvation. The church has got a lot of work to do in terms of how it's treated its Indigenous people over the years. And so the church is doing that work, and we're excited to see that happen as well. Many of our people are excelling even in that area. We've got more clergy around the country than we had, even 30 years ago. And so that's exciting. We've got an Aboriginal bishop in Adelaide, and we've had previous bishops as well. And so, the church has come a long way. There's still a lot more to be done, and we want to see young Aboriginal people raised up and trained and to be able to take the gospel themselves to their own people. Currently, we have two people in training, one at Ridley in Melbourne, and you guys would have heard about these guys. Lonnie Bendesi, he's from Ceduna, West Coast in South Australia, and he's studying at Ridley at the moment. And then we have Lucy Wheeler, she's from the Blue Mountains, and she was studying at Moore College, but now she's transferred over to SMBC. And so it'll be exciting to see where God takes them. Jonathan Tavola has put his studies on hold at this point. Well, that's what I hear. But no doubt he will get back into it as well at some stage. And so, yeah, it's good to see these young men and women raised up to train. COVID has been a difficult time for everyone right around the country, and you guys at the moment are in lockdown in Sydney. This video is shot from my lounge room in East Maitland, unable to come down to do it there personally, but it's a great opportunity, even through this medium, to be able to communicate with you guys. Question has been asked in regards to how is our indigenous churches coping with the COVID. They're coping the same way everyone else is. Some of them have had to learn new skills around the tech stuff in order to live stream some of their services. George and Carmel Ferguson out at Walgett, they do some live streaming of their services. And then Jack and Lil Harradine at Broken Hill has people around them who have the various skills to be able to live stream some of their services as well. And some of our other Aboriginal staff, we've got Alfreen Wright in Gilgandra. Obviously she's a chaplain, so there's no need, it hasn't affected her all that much. But we need to pray for all of them in order that God might sustain them through these difficult times. You can be praying for Kathy and I. We've been COVID locked, for want of a better phrase. You talk about landlocked and so forth and so on. Well, a lot of our engagements have been cancelled due to this new wave of COVID, and so we're actually working from home. What does that look like? Well, I've been working with my committee to review the BCA's strategic plan, and so we're actually in the process at the tail end of that review. We're hoping to finish that tomorrow, and so and then that'll go to Greg Harris, the National Director, and hopefully that'll be shared with some of the BCA executive to sign off on. We have a plan for moving Indigenous ministry forward, and that's an exciting plan. So thank you for that. Along with that, we get the occasional times when we can move throughout the state. A couple of weeks ago, I was down at Yass Valley speaking at the Anglican Church there, as well as doing deputising for BCA. About a month ago, Kathy ran a ladies' conference in on the Central Coast before the COVID hit. And 60 ladies come together where they're able to encourage one another in the faith, and they come away from that particular weekend encouraged and with a new sense of and a new desire to go on to serve the Lord within the framework of His church. Things that we've got coming up that you could be praying for. We've got some training coming up in August. Should COVID stay away, that'll happen in Dubbo. We had training there, at training in Gilgandra about 3 months ago. Phil Wheeler from Evangelism in New Churches at Moore College came out to do some training with us. We've had about 15 people sit that training, and that was a good 3 days. So it's an intensive, looks at exegetical principles for understanding the Bible. So basically teaching people how to read their Bible well, and then use the information then to proclaim its truth. And so successful that those who did it are coming to another one in August, 18th, 19th and 20th, should that go ahead. And they've offered to pay for this one. The first one was given us a bit of a taster, I suppose. And so they all so enjoyed it that they're offering to pay for the next one. And so please pray for that. Phil will again make the trip to Dubbo. Him and I will then facilitate some of that training there in Dubbo. So it's a wonderful opportunity there as well. So George Ferguson, Jack Harradine and their wives come along to that. It's just a good time of learning and encouraging our people. What else we've got coming up? We've got a family camp that's coming up, an October long weekend. This is run under the banner of the Aboriginal Evangelical Fellowship of Australia, supported by BCA. And Simon Gillam, the Vice Principal at Moore College, will be the speaker that weekend. And so if you're not doing anything over the October long weekend, please feel free to come along to that and have some fellowship with your Aboriginal brothers and sisters in Christ. We're certainly looking forward to as many people as we can to come along to that. But pray that COVID would stay away and that weekend we'll be able to go ahead. So friends, let me end as I started. Thank you so much for your support for the ministry of BCA. Ministries around the country certainly appreciate people praying for them and supporting them. For without your support, these ministries would not be able to continue. And so we're so thankful that you are sowing into the ministries of people in remote and isolated locations. So God bless, and we will chat again soon. And I look forward to a time when Kathy and I can come down and visit and just sit down and have a cup of tea and enjoy some fellowship. Rightio, bye for now and God bless.